Hola amigos! It's been such a long time since I've filmed anything, so this kind of feels weird again. Getting out of practice. How do we like this hair? I'm really finding it a challenge to get into the routine of getting ready every day, which, let's be honest, I haven't been doing. And that's mostly because I'm not working anymore, so I don't really have any kind of a routine these days. And because of that, it's been days since I've left the house and even more days since I've done makeup and hair. So I'm trying to decide if this hair looks cute or if it looks like the toupee of Uncle Lewis from Christmas Vacation. What do we think? Anyway, hair aside, it is good to chat. I haven't filmed a video in a while, and that's mostly because I've spent a bunch of time lately working on a longer, more in-depth video for you guys that is all about what Malaga is like, and it's been a really slow video to put together, so I've been working on that for a couple of weeks, and rather than leave the channel hanging for too long, I decided that today would be a good chance to do a quick chatty update just to tell you all about what's going on now with our move. So as you can tell from the background, we're still in Canada. That hasn't really had any significant progress since the last few weeks. You're probably going to hear Sydney yapping in the background. It's sunny out and there's been cars passing by and commotion, and he just won't shut the F up. So sorry about that, you're just going to have to deal with it, because if I stop filming every time he barks, then it's going to take me 3 hours to film this video. Love that. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, so the video that I'm working on is taking a long time because it's me doing a voiceover telling you all about what it's like in Malaga, and then adding in video clips and photos to give you a little visual tour of the town and talk about what the economy is like, what the climate is like, what the culture is, tourism, and all the other parts of what it's like in Malaga. And the exciting part about that video is that as I was putting it together, or still am putting it together, I'm realizing how much I actually know about this city. I did a lot of research, so I'm making sure that the information is actually correct. But as far as the basic information about Malaga, I actually knew quite a bit. And that's really a cool thing because it makes it feel like I'm already there and that we're going somewhere that I'm actually familiar and comfortable with. So that's really cool. It's been a fun thing to put together, but it's just taking for flippin' ever. And frankly, I've been having a hard time focusing on getting it done because we're working on a few other things that I'll tell you about in a minute. So there hasn't been too much that's happened. Mostly we've been just working through the visa process, and that's really the last thing that we're waiting for before we can go or start putting the motion together to move. So it was probably about 3 weeks ago we finally got the last bits of paperwork together to get our visa application completed, and we sent the application itself over to our lawyer in Madrid, and she was able to send everything to the consulate in Montreal to confirm that we could do the in-person application in Halifax. And that's different from the usual process, so she wanted to make sure that that was still good to go. And we got the okay, and Trevor was called by the Montreal consulate to let him know that he would need to reach out to the Halifax consulate and make an appointment to go in person to see them and do the application. So we reached out to the Halifax consulate, who we didn't realize until recently is honorary, so we don't know how that works like monetarily, but it's something that he does very part-time, and he has another business that he runs, so doing the consulate work is like something he does a little bit on the side. So it took a while to hear back from him and get that appointment arranged, but we did manage to get one. So we went in to see him, and it was really kind of strange. We just went into the office building and we had to phone him, and he let us into the lobby and he took the paperwork and we just waited in the lobby the whole time. And then he had a couple of questions, so he came up from his office around the corner and asked his questions. And he also had to get us to take our masks off for a minute and verify that we were the people in the photos on our passports. And then he reviewed that everything was there that was needed, supposedly, and he stamped the copies of our passports that we had included in the application, and then advised us that we need to send everything to Montreal. So he gave everything back to us for us to take care of sending it off with the fee to Montreal. So that was nice to have that part done. We had a question about fees because there's an application fee of $150 and then a fee for legalizing a couple of the documents. So basically they need to sign off on the copies that we've provided. And normally in the previous steps, we would have it sent to them to legalize before completing the application. But in this case, we didn't want to have to send it to them for legalizing back to us and then send everything again for the actual application. So to make it more smooth, we just gave them the documents to legalize at the same time as the visa application, which hopefully won't be a problem. So we had to send a fee for that as well, but it wasn't totally clear if that needed to be a separate bank draft. So anyway, we had somebody reaching out to find out that information, and it took forever for them to respond. And then when they did finally respond to answer the question, they informed us that the person who is in charge of the visa applications at the consulate in Montreal is off until the end of March. So that was a big frustration when we found that out, because it means that we don't know when the person will be back. We don't know why they're not working, or if it's like a planned vacation, or if it's an emergency with like an unknown end time. Presumably there will be a lot of things piled up when this person does return to work if nobody else is able to do it. So we contacted our lawyer. I should say Trevor contacted our lawyer, and he wanted to find out if there was anything we could do in regards to like maybe sending our application to the Toronto consulate. Hopefully they could process the visa. I don't know if she was brushing us off or if it's just truly this simple, but she advised that we would need to send everything to Montreal and just wait. So at the moment, we're just waiting for the person in Montreal to be back. We actually sent off the final visa information with the bank drafts and everything last week, and I just got a notification that the package was delivered today. So it's in their hands now, and I don't know if anybody will open it and look through everything before the visa person is back to know if everything's there or if there's any problems. I'm guessing they'll do the legalizing right away and then leave it to sit with the visa person when they're back. So Lord knows how long that's gonna take, and it's really the biggest hold up for us to be able to move on to the next step of getting ready to go. So in the meantime, we're just trying to work on getting the house ready to put it on the market. We have a little bit of a disagreement, or just we can't make up our minds yet on exactly what the process is going to look like just yet, because I'm personally still a little bit hesitant to list the house until we have the visa approval. It's like 98% certain that the visa will be approved. There's no reason for them not to approve us at this point. Our applications are complete and very straightforward. We meet all the requirements, and there's really no reason it wouldn't get approved, but just because of the ridiculous nature of Spanish bureaucracy, I'm still a little bit worried that they might come up with some problems or excuses that would either cause a delay or just further complication. So the last thing I want to do is be homeless, because so much needs to happen in regards to packing our things and selling our stuff, and I just don't want to end up at the end of it all with nowhere to live. Of course we can stay with family, and we've already talked about that to make sure that that was still an option, and it is. But we want to minimize the need for that as much as we can, because we love our house and we're happy here, so why not stay here as long as we can? So of course we still need to make the moves and prepare to get the house listed, and because we've lived here for like 13 years, there's a lot that needs to be done. We've made a lot of progress over the past year, but we just have a lot of stuff. Like, we've been here for such a long time. There's a lot of decluttering that needs to happen. There were a few last little reno projects we were working on. So one thing that we got done actually in the last couple of weeks is fixing the ceiling in our basement bathroom. So when we first moved in, we wanted to take out the wall between the kitchen and the living room. And to make a long story short, it just wasn't possible. So in the quest to have that happen, Dad was helping us with the renos, and he cut a hole in the bathroom ceiling in the basement in order to get access to the wall and like the studs and the structure to make sure that it was possible, which it wasn't, not easily anyway. And so there was a hole in that ceiling, and it's been that way for a very long time, probably 12 years. So of course, before we could sell the house, we had to get that hole fixed up. And Trevor and I are really not good with drywall and all that kind of stuff. I mean, sure, we could probably figure it out, but neither of us feel confident doing it, and we wanted it to look decent. So we finally found somebody after many months of running around. We got somebody in to do that. So he did an awesome job with the taping and mudding and sanding, and then he primed everything. So this weekend we actually painted the bathroom, which really needed to be done regardless of the ceiling issue. That bathroom actually has a jet tub, which I've always thought was kind of weird. Like when we first bought the house, I was super excited to have a jet tub that we could soak in. But frankly, because it's in the basement, we just never really used that bathroom very much. And for a while, it was actually where our former cat had their cat litter, and it was also the studio bathroom for a while, and we had a freezer in there, so it was a little bit cramped. So it's just not a place that we ever really felt like was very relaxing to go take a bath. So it just wasn't used for a really long time. But it is actually a really great bathroom because it has that fancy soaking tub, and it's really like quiet down there because it's separate from the rest of the house. So I decided that I would paint it a beautiful little greenish blue color and really play up on a spa theme since it does have the jet tub. So we painted it, and I bought a shelf and a bunch of accessories from IKEA, and I'm just trying to stage it to look really like zen and relaxing and kind of a spa feel, so that when we stage the house we can really play up on that aspect of it. It looks so awesome. I'm gonna insert some photos here. Not that in this market we need to worry too much about selling our house, because there's actually hardly any competition in our neighborhood at the moment. So when we are ready to list, I don't see that changing a lot because inventory is super low. It's like the craziest seller's market that we've probably ever had in Nova Scotia, and we're really lucky in that regard, because when the time comes, I guarantee, unless something drastic changes in the next month or two, we will have like many dozens of showings. We'll have multiple, if not dozens, of offers, and it will sell for over asking price. So we're in a really fortunate position right now. But we do of course want it to still present really well, because that will increase the listing price, and also it'll increase the offers that are made. So we just need to get some little projects finished up. That bathroom's almost done, just a couple little things left to do. And there's a few other little projects around the house that I still want to complete. So we have some paint touch-ups to do in a few of the rooms, just little things that the painter missed, or there was one area in our basement hallway stairwell that needs to be painted. We didn't have the painter do that part, so there's some holes to be patched and some painting. But I think I'm just gonna do it plain white, so nothing too fancy there, just need to get it done. We desperately need to clean all the carpets, so we have carpet on the stairwells as well as the whole upstairs and the basement. So the carpet's in fine condition, it just needs a really good deep cleaning. We also need to deep clean a few of the areas of the house. For the most part, the house is pretty clean, but there's a couple spots like our laundry room that just kind of get neglected, and it'll need to be really scrubbed down. And I'm considering actually bringing in a professional cleaner to help with that stuff, just because they would have better tricks and tips on how to make it more efficient and do a really good job. And of course, because we've lived here for so long, there's many little nooks and crannies of crap that's been piling up for 13 years, and we just really need to go through and declutter a lot of things. I'm kind of in a phase right now where I'm feeling quite overwhelmed with getting rid of things. Ultimately, we do want to get rid of probably 2/3 of our things before we go. We're going to keep anything that's sentimental value or irreplaceable, but we don't plan on keeping most of our furniture. We're not going to keep like a lot of like little decor items and like just craft supplies and like goods that you build up over time as an adult. We just don't, unless it's something that's hard to replace or is worth money, I don't think we'll end up keeping them and putting them in storage. So we have to find a way to get rid of everything. And of course it's a process because we can't just empty the house down to the studs and put it up on the market because we want to be able to stage it. So, and we need to be able to live here for the next unknown quantity of time. I'm going to need to start working room by room and just decluttering and doing like your standard, get rid of the things that we actually don't need, haven't used in a really long time, won't be storing, don't matter for like decor or the looks of the room, and start with that. But there's just so much stuff that I know is gonna need to be sold that I'm like feeling very overwhelmed because I freaking hate dealing with selling things on the internet, and frankly that's just what's gonna have to happen, and I'm putting it off. If I'm being honest, I'm just putting it off. Like, I'm dreading that aspect. It's just annoying. So one of these days it's gonna have to start though. And maybe I'll do a little bit of filming with you when I start working on that process, because boy, it's a doozy, and it's really the thing that's weighing on me the most about this move. So thankfully, once the house is ready to list and we get our visa approval, things should go fairly smoothly at that point, I'm hoping. I really love our realtor, Tina, and she's gonna be an awesome resource for us with staging and listing. So I have no worries about whether it will sell, and I have no worries about us leaving before it's closed. I know that she can handle the closing with us being remote, so like that part's not worrisome to me at all. It's just going to be that rat race of trying to get the house ready to sell, listed, sold, then get rid of everything, put things into storage, and then go. And of course figuring out what's going to come with us to Spain as well and how much of it we can take. Thankfully, things also are looking a lot better COVID-wise in Spain. So they just are coming down off of their third wave, which is insane. But the numbers are dropping every day. So the restrictions that most areas in Spain put into place seem to have worked, which is really positive. Malaga is looking pretty good for COVID numbers. It's certainly nowhere near what it's like here in Nova Scotia, where we have like a handful of cases at any given time, but it's actually a lot better than it was just a month ago. So if it can stay that way, which hopefully it will with more and more people being vaccinated, then I don't feel too uncomfortable about being there. My worries before were trying to exist with COVID in Malaga and being new there. But because the numbers are coming down and restrictions are lifting, hopefully that means that when we get there, Trevor's not going to have to work 100% from home, and we're not going to be restricted to our apartment or wherever we're living. So hopefully that can stay the way it is now or improve even further. And then things will be a little bit more just comfortable, a little bit more like what we want them to be. I know it's not going to be anything like when we were visiting because we won't have the same freedoms and communication is going to be more difficult, but hopefully if the numbers stay good, it'll be a little bit less weird. I think that's all that I have to tell you right now. So things are happening, but pretty slowly, and I just feel like at the moment it's us just waiting for the sprint to begin, because once something happens, once we get our visa approval or we make a firm decision on when we want to list the house, it's going to be an actual sprint. I think a lot's going to need to happen in a very short time. So I'm just like trying to brace myself for that, because I don't know what that's all going to look like. And I'm just terrible when it comes to planning ahead for things, so we're gonna have to sit down soon and make an actual plan and start a checklist and come up with a process for how this is all gonna look. And I almost feel like without a deadline, like I'm very much someone who requires pressure and a deadline to get anything done. And especially now that I'm not working, my schedule is so la 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 la, like every day is just kind of whatever I want it to be. But I know a lot still needs to happen, so I can't be wasting all this time. At the same time, I know that I don't want to run myself off my feet because it's going to get very busy very quickly. And once that happens, I will have appreciated taking a few weeks for myself. Anyway, thanks for following our journey and watching all the way to the end. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them. If there's anything that you'd like me to talk about in a future video, I would love that. I'm really loving making these videos for you, and I'd love to have some more interaction, so leave comments below if you have any questions. You can follow me on social media. I will put the links in the description box. The best place is on Instagram. I don't post that often, but I'm hoping to pick up a little bit more on how often I'm posting, just to keep you guys more in the loop on things. I'd love it if you could give this video a thumbs up, because that really helps with the YouTube algorithm to help this video get discovered by more people so I can grow my channel. And I guess I will see you in the next one. Adios, amigos!